Welcome everyone to Microsoft Student Accelerator. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to our community. We pay our respects to them, their culture, and to their elders, past and present. As many of us are watching in locations all around Australia and New Zealand, I'd also like to pay our respects to the traditional owners of the countries on which we all live and work, and like to recognise their continuing connection to waters and community, and pay respects to them, their culture, elders past, present, and emerging. Cool. Now, why don't you all introduce yourselves in the chat, say who you are, where you're from, what you're studying. If you're not at a university or TAFE right now, don't worry about that. Everyone is always studying. That's why we're always here. So what is it that you are learning this month? Jules? So this is me. If anyone is not connected to me already, then do feel free to scan that QR code and find me on all of my socials. I always have this reminder at the top about GitHub in that you can, well, if you look at mine, you can see you can make your GitHub profile just as beautiful as your LinkedIn profile. And it's a really good way to showcase your code if you are coding. If you're not coding, it's a really good way to showcase other stuff. Plenty of people in marketing use GitHub to showcase their content and to blog on there. So it's a really cool site, and as students, well, everyone can use it for free, in fact. So don't forget about GitHub, even though LinkedIn is my favorite one. Now today...
Sorry to interrupt for a sec, Michelle.
Sure.
On the GitHub, do you know if there's anyone up there, there's any pages up there for some Python? I kind of put my hand up to help with some Python thing, but my Python is kind of basic, so I need to refresh myself.
There's really a lot. I mean, really a lot. I think it's the second largest language on GitHub.
I just haven't really gone to GitHub before.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be looking there directly for learning content. It is absolutely on there. I would, if I were you, I would go to Microsoft Learn and search on Python and take the learning paths directly out of there and use those to help teach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I normally always do. I always use Microsoft Learn as my first content training path, and then add my own stories and extra stuff that I can find into there. And of course, you already have the she code stuff to refer to as well.
Okay, thanks for that.
Cool. Okay, so today I am going to have two of our Microsoft Aspires talk to us and share about their career journeys, how they got their roles at Microsoft and what their jobs look like, just very casually, because I literally sprung it on them this week, so they haven't had any time to prep. But that's what we're going to do today. We're going to let them talk. And if there is anyone else in here from the MSA team that has not already shared their story, then maybe there'll be time for that as well today. But if you are Microsoft, introduce yourselves in the chat as well, so that everyone knows who is here. And we will hopefully have a little time for chatting amongst ourselves, all of us, towards the end. Now, I'll just remind you all about the program. Microsoft Student Accelerator is designed to help you certify, build, and connect with Microsoft. So I'm always encouraging you all to do your certifications. If you're a student at a university or TAFE, you can do your Microsoft Fundamentals ones for free. If you are not that, then currently there is limited pathways to get free vouchers, but I'm hoping I will be able to find some more budget soon to get some more free vouchers. So study your paths and be ready to ask me when you need vouchers. I am going to, well, I have been for a while studying for my Microsoft Developer certification, but it's very difficult. So while I have run a prep class for that, where we looked at exam questions, I am not ready for that exam yet. So I thought what I would do, as I've recently got my Microsoft Certified Trainer qualification, that I will teach you the course content for Microsoft Developer. So if anyone's interested in that, I will be scheduling those in, and then I'll put them on the YouTube afterwards. Thank you. Build, we do have quite a few CSAs and CSAEs who have recently said they would like to teach you some stuff. So Joseph Stephen is going to teach you about building a bot using OpenAI. We haven't booked the date in for that, but watch out for that because that will be coming shortly. And yes, the guy that trained me for my Microsoft Certified Trainer, he said as well he would like to teach you all something. So watch your calendars, there should be those coming up. Don't stress if you can't make them. I will put them on YouTube afterwards. But as with this, it's always better if you join in person because you can ask your questions. And Connect, we do have some Connect events coming up, and we will talk about those in a minute. So yes, this is what our in-person accelerator events look like, and we try to run them locally whenever and wherever we can. And I always try and get a nice picture of everyone in the room because what's more fun than that? So what we have upcoming, Troy Hunt is coming to Perth. I have mentioned this before. He is super glamorous in the world of cybersecurity. He will be keynoting the Cyber West Summit that is coming up next week. And as a special favour to me, he's going to do that meetup the night before. So you can come and ask Troy Hunt anything at the Microsoft offices if you are in Perth. So especially if you are at ECU doing cybersecurity, you should definitely be signing up for that event to come along and meet Troy Hunt. But really, even if you're not in cybersecurity, he is such an inspiration in the field of technology. He is a global speaker. He has been called before Congress and Senates in the US and the UK and in Australia to give his opinion on things and share his expertise. He is super Australian, like blonde and lives on a farm and really, really down to earth and very cool to listen to. So even if you're not into security, you will love listening to him speak. I'm such a huge fan of his. So if you are in Perth, come to sign up for that event. And if you, yes, and if you're going to the Cybersecurity Summit, I will see you there as well, the Cyber West Summit. Okay, then we have MSA event in Sydney at the Reactor coming up, which Nick Nat is planning. Nick Nat, do you want to give them a quick chat about that?
Thanks so much, Michelle, and hello, everyone. We're excited to share with you that we're hosting an in-person event for the Microsoft Student Accelerators in the Microsoft Reactor. So we will be sending out more details regarding the event, but the intention is to have you meet some of the industry leaders that we have within Microsoft and have a networking opportunity. So if you are interested in that session, it will be held on the 8th of June, which is a Thursday, between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Microsoft Reactor. Thanks so much, Michelle.
8th of June, perfect. Then I could already change that, 8th of June. Perfect. Okay. Cool. And then, yeah, Melbourne as well. We will do one in May or June, hopefully May, but could be June because we're already in May. And in Perth as well, I think I will do one in June because we have the Troy thing in May. So I'll probably do plan one for June. Goodness, where does the year go? So yes, be awesome if you're in any of those locations to see you all there. Next year, I'm definitely going to do some in New Zealand. If you are in New Zealand, I have found someone in Wellington who will host for me. So I'm excited about that as well. Oh, just a reminder if you are a leader in your student community or you want to be one, then why not sign up for Microsoft Learn student ambassadors as well? So I'd say you need to have at least a year left in your degree if you want to sign up for that. If you're at TAFE, you're also eligible. We have had people who are TAFE students that are student ambassadors, as long as you have more than a year left in your course. It's not super obvious when you sign up for that program, but yes, TAFE is okay as well. I have feedback from from some of the people reviewing those applications that the quality is not high. Now, it is a really glamorous program. You get swag, you get a lot of training in order to, become a student leader in Microsoft Technologies. You have a lot of things that they will help you with and invite you to, and a lot of opportunities open up as part of that program. So they only accept about 30 or 40% of the people that apply. The reason isn't that they don't have the spots. The reason is that the quality of the applications is not good. You have to be super enthusiastic in those applications. You cannot hold back and be humble. I would say if English is not your first language, use ChatGPT to redo your whatever you've put. So write your stuff and then ask ChatGPT to rewrite that for you in better English. And it's very, very clever. I use it even though English is my first language, because I tend to have a very casual way of writing things, and ChatGPT can make it fancier. And I spoke to a guy at UWA the other day who was doing his PhD, and he said the same. He said he writes his stuff, then he asked ChatGPT to rewrite it to sound a little bit fancier or a little bit better, because ChatGPT can write stuff very, very well. Do not use it entirely, because actually they do run, what do you call it?
Plagiarizing checks.
Plagiarizing checks, yes, over the tool. So if you have just been reading a lot of other people's applications on Reddit, and then you write yours and it sounds too similar to other people's, it will also be checked out for that. So really, I'm just saying, bring your best self, be super enthusiastic, don't hold back, and maybe ask the AI for a little help. Cool. Oh, and also if you do submit to that, then do message me in LinkedIn and say that you have submitted to that. And these are the reasons why you think you should get it, because I can have a word with that team and say, this is one of my students. Please move them to the top of your queue. Okay. The other thing to mention is the Student Hub on Microsoft Learn. So this is where you go. Even if you're not a student, you start in the Student Hub, because it will lead you to a lot of the interesting content. I always start with student content first, because it's super clear and it's super, not easy, but clear. It's a really nice and it's a more fun pathway. From within there, you will see all the things that you can get for free. Let's see. So yeah, your Azure for Students pass. You will see about the student certifications, so how you can do your fundamentals ones for free. Those are worth like $150 each, so you should definitely do them. And the other thing is, when you come into industry, a lot of industry companies in your onboarding will want you to do your Azure fundamentals as part of your onboarding. If you've already got it, then you're 1 month ahead of your peers. So they are more likely to hire you than someone that does not have it, because you've already done part of your onboarding process and you can move on to the other stuff. Everyone is always looking for that velocity when you come into industry. As your students, that's your $100 per year. My reminder there is always build stuff, and then after you've built it, delete your entire resource group. Delete everything in there. Don't leave stuff running on your Azure subscription, because you will burn through that $100 in no time at all. Build it, record yourself building it, showcase it, take some screenshots, keep your code in GitHub, and delete those resources after you have done it. And if you think, oh, but I'm so proud of it and I just want to see it there, no, build it again tomorrow, build it again the day after, so that you get used to building it and you get used to working your way around the portal and you know what you're doing and you understand what all the things are. But always delete it all. Always delete it all until you are working in industry and you are spending their money. When you're spending your money or your $100 free credit, delete your resource groups, shut everything down. You can also get some free GitHub stuff. So there is training in there, and there is also free software in there while you're students. Visual Studio Code, always free, and it is the number one piece of software used for coding. Well, I use it, even though I could use Visual Studio, which is the enterprise version. I find Visual Studio too complex, too many fancy options. I just use Visual Studio Code, and I know a lot of developers that mostly just use Visual Studio Code. You can also learn about different careers in there, so you can click on a career that you're interested in, and it will show you all of the learning paths that you should follow. Yeah, exam vouchers, as I stress again, if you're a student, you can get your fundamentals ones for free. I do not have any other vouchers left at the moment, but I am going to ask for some money and see whether anyone will give me some to buy some more vouchers. So watch this space. This is my YouTube, where I have a playlist of MSA recordings, so including this one today. So you can always watch the previous sessions. Yes, I actually have a few playlists on my YouTube channel. This one is all of the Student Accelerator stuff, but I also have one that is just the core sessions and one that is just the technical sessions. So if you can't find it, because this is quite a long list now, you can look at those other two smaller lists. If you're a student in this program and you're interested in making a recording, either talking about how you did your certification and, you know, what value that has, or sharing any tips and tricks, or if you want to talk about being part of this program, or anything really, if you're interested in talking about being in your intern experience somewhere, or your or anything else, then yeah, I'm looking to make more recordings to showcase you all. The more of you that is on the internet in a professional setting, the more stuff that employers can find of you when they are looking to hire you, and see that you are you know, a continuous learner, a leader in your field, all of those things. Put you ahead of your peers, I guess. So yes, those are the extra channels. So all the accelerator, the technical workshops, the core workshops, student chats, the AI 900 prep class. No one that has ever watched this class has ever failed that exam after watching that class. That AI fundamentals pathway now includes stuff about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and DALL-E. So I do recommend reading that one again, even if you've already done that certification. Okay, keep up to date with what's coming up by watching our Facebook and LinkedIn groups. And now, then we will go back and we will talk to Ava and Katrina. So actually, maybe I won't even have this on the screen. Are you both there? Put your cameras on. There we go. There is Ava. There's Katrina.
Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
I'm going to unshare this. Where do I stop sharing? Cool. Okay, so maybe you can, Ava, do you want to go first and tell us who you are, where you studied, and yeah, a little bit about how you got where you are now.
Sure thing, Michelle, and thanks for inviting me along to this, and it's great to meet you all. My name is Ava. I'm currently working as a Surface specialist at Microsoft, but I can get into that a bit later. I suppose some background on myself is I moved to Sydney in 2019, and I studied at the University of New South Wales, and I've completed a Bachelor's of Commerce majoring in information systems and marketing. And I just had my graduation ceremony this week on Tuesday, and Katrina was there as well. So that was a fun time. But yeah, I think during university, I made sure to actively participate in societies, and try to get those experiences like internships. So I've, had experience working in startups for a few months at Woolies X doing marketing. And I also had some work at the university, cold calling alumni. So I've had jobs all around. And when I saw the internship applications for Microsoft, I kind of applied on a whim. I didn't expect to get in, but I was like, you know what? I might as well try it out, see where this goes. And lo and behold, I got in. So I started off as an intern, I think 2 years ago, where I was in the solution assessment team. And what that team is a team where they do assess their client's infrastructure and see, what their on-premise looks like, and see how they can migrate to Azure, and kind of give them all the benefits and say, this is where you are and this is where you will be. So kind of a futuristic looking forward of, what their future would look like with Microsoft. And I had an amazing time in that team, super supportive. I think my managers, extremely supportive, and upskilling me and letting me partake in different tasks. So I did things like talking to customers, creating pitch decks, also working on a marketing side, so creating SharePoints and newsletters. So it was really fun. And by the end of that a year, we applied for grad, so the Aspire program, and there were a few roles available, and I interviewed with a bunch of different managers, and I was lucky enough to get a Surface specialist role under Ian Hurd. So what that entails is that I basically am an expert in hardware. So, whether that be Surface laptops, the 2-in-1 tablets, Surface hubs, you may have heard of those, big LCD screens which you can whiteboard on. And I communicate and sell the benefits of the hardware to financial services companies. So think of, Macquarie Bank, AMP, NAB, companies like that. And I'm only 2 months in, so it's a lot of learning to do. It's a 2-year program. So taking it one day at a time. And I know a lot of you are doing certifications, and, that's a very important part of being in Microsoft, is getting across that and upskilling yourself, because there's so many different solutions here that you can be here for years and you never truly grasp everything at the same time. But that's a bit about me. Michelle, I hope that was that answered your questions, but if there's anything else I could talk about, I'm happy to delve into, but I'll hand it off to Katrina.
Perfect. Thanks, Ava. And thanks, Michelle, as well, for inviting us along. Definitely sprung this on us a bit of a surprise, but happy to help out. So I think I have a very similar kind of career journey to Ava, I would say. So we're both at UNSW, and I studied a commerce degree, majoring in information systems and marketing. And I was lucky enough to be part of the Grad Program at UNSW. So what that is, it's basically a program where you work and study at the same time. So I did 3 work placements during my 4 years of university. So sometimes I did university part-time, sometimes I did it full-time. So my first placement was at the Digital Transformation Agency. So that was really good in giving me kind of a first lens into what tech was. and it was at a government agency. So I guess kind of a different experience to, I think, what I was expecting, but I think kind of very useful down the track of my career, because I think, you know, a lot of consulting, a lot of sales, you work with government. So I think it really gave me that insider kind of knowledge of what working in government and working in tech would be like. And then following that, I did a placement at Box of Books, which is a startup. So it's an education startup where they basically provide and provision digital textbooks to different primary school children. So working with that was really interesting because I think, you know, startup, you get that kind of lower lens kind of scale, and you're really part of that team, and you're really part of, you know, creating the tech. You're a part of, you know, talking to customers. So I think you're kind of doing it all. So it's a really interesting experience. Following that, I did a vacationer. So I did an internship at Deloitte. So I did a bit of consulting there, and then did my last placement at PwC. So also followed up and did a bit more consulting, which I really enjoyed. I think consulting really kind of gives you that, it gives you a lot of breadth of knowledge, because I think you're working with so many different clients, a lot of projects, a different team. So I think it really develops those kind of soft skills and that experience across industry as well. And then following that, applied for the Microsoft internship. I liked Ava, kind of didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, you know, maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. But I do echo Ava's point in the sense that I think joining societies was really important, because I first heard of that opportunity through my society and through people who had done the internship previously in my society as well. So I think, you know, it's all about when you're at university, kind of having those networks and being able to talk to people and, you know what's going on and seeing what might pique your interest. Because if I didn't hear about it, definitely wouldn't have ended up here. But yeah, lucky enough to apply for it and got it. And I got the data and AI position in SMC, which was an amazing role. I loved it. I think my manager again was super supportive. He brought me onto customer accounts. So I had my own accounts from day one. And he really kind of fast tracked my career development as well. But I actually finished up in August, and then I went on a student exchange. So I did a study abroad program in Boston. SMC is small, medium corporates. Sorry to everyone. But small, medium corporates. So basically you're working with customers around just a bit smaller than the larger organizations. So you're thinking like local councils, law firms, things like that, all across industry. And yeah, I think SMC is a really good space to be in because it was very fast paced, I think, especially for young people. So I know Ava and I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, stopped that in August and did a study abroad in Boston College, which I absolutely loved. I think best 6 months of my life. And then I did a month in Europe afterwards. So I was very kind of getting the travel out of my system before I started work full time. But I actually applied for the Spire role when I was in America. So I literally thought I wasn't going to get it because, you know, I just kind of left and went to America. But lucky enough to actually land a role, and that was a modern work specialist role under Udaya. And I'm aligned to New South Wales Gov accounts and also Energy National accounts. So just started about 1 to 2 months in, I would say. And I think it's been a really good learning experience. You know, definitely set up with all my accounts, have a lot of support from my manager in terms of career development, and doing those certifications right now, which Michelle talked about. So yeah, I think really kind of going through that learning experience in the moment. But yes, that's all from me. Thanks, Michelle, and let me know if you need anything else from us.
You said a few times in there that you were lucky enough to, but when I was listening to your story, I just thought that's not luck. That is a young woman who has worked extremely hard and done really a lot of things.
Oh,
and I think it would have been pretty easy for them to pick you out as someone exceptional who they would like to have working for us.
Oh, too kind. I think it's a bit of luck, but yeah, did work hard, definitely.
Well, see, there were very few Aspire roles in Microsoft Australia this year. And I know, a lot of interns that I worked with who were really, really good did not get those Aspire roles. And I was very sad because, they're all smart and they're all brilliant and they were all actively involved in programs. But when I hear all the things that the two of you have done, I just think, I feel like that's more stuff than I've done in my last 10 years. Never mind how young you are. I sound like a really old person now.
Not at all. No, but yeah, no, I think a lot of the interns, they definitely deserve the roles. But yeah, just unfortunate with the current climate. So that's how things go, unfortunately.
But still, I don't think there was any luck involved in you two. I think definitely you deserve those places from all of that. Ava, when you were talking about, being a hardware specialist, and I was just thinking, but how do you become an expert in that when you are, so early in your career? Could you tell us a little bit about how you go about learning things in your day-to-day job?
Yeah, I think it's a huge learning curve coming from, I don't have any experience in hardware, so I'm starting from ground zero. And so, I mean, the things that my manager and my team are doing to upskill me is kind of, letting me work with my buddy. So he's called Michael Cox, and he's a great specialist. He's, won multiple awards for what he's doing. So he actually really knows the product inside and out. And so kind of working with him, shadowing him in customer calls, seeing how he works his magic. Also, being put into deep end with accounts and having the pressure because, you're going to be meeting clients and you're in a meeting and sometimes they have questions. So that definitely lights a fire under your butt to, work hard and you start learning as fast as you can. But I guess on a more tangible end, Microsoft has a ton of different resources like, the Viva Learning, where, there's a lot of modules and online courses for you to self-learn and you can learn at your own pace. So for example, there's a Surface University where they kind of take you through all the different devices and everything about it, and you can kind of learn at your own pace. And there's so many different internal sites. I can't even mention it, but there's like an infopedias, there's pitch decks, there's demo videos. So it's a lot of self-learning. But I think once you maybe reach your 3 month, 6 month mark, everything starts coming together. And I would really emphasize, I think in general, in any corporate workplaces, the importance of networking. So there's certain information that isn't going to be, on the page, like on a website. You'll actually have to talk to people and, get insights from what a customer relationship is like. What are they, what is their history with Microsoft, or, how do you do like pricing or working with partners? So I think developing that network and talking to people and, getting a mentor as well. I was lucky to have a mentor in the women's mentoring program that was set up by Microsoft. And I think it's a really valuable experience to just, speak to people and put yourself out there.
Oh, that's a wonderful explanation. Katrina, what do you do when you don't know what to do, or when a customer asks you a question that you don't know the answer to? What's your go-to? How do you handle that?
That happens way too often right now, early in career. But I think what I've really learned from my experience throughout internship and also now is that I think the customer isn't always expecting you to have the answer right there on your hand. They understand that you can kind of go back, you can kind of say, let me get back to you. Because I think what matters is not that you're giving them kind of an answer that you just get off the top of your head. What matters is that you're giving them an accurate answer that is well thought out and that aligns to what Microsoft actually believes in. So I think it's the quality of the answer that matters rather than the actual answering it on time. But I think also if you're by yourself, that's kind of the case. You can kind of say, let me get back to you, go back to them later. But if you're with your team, I would say really leverage the team that you're with on the call with. So I have a team full of technical specialists. I have my AE, so my account executive. I have my account tech strategist. And they all vary from, team specialists to cloud endpoint specialists to security specialists. So I think really leveraging their knowledge as well when you don't have the knowledge starting out is a really good way to go about it. I think obviously take a shot at answering the question, because I think it's good practice to actually be able to explain it yourself. And I think that's a huge learning curve in itself. But don't forget to actually leverage your specialists. So make sure you talk to them, bring them into the conversations that you have, because I think they can offer definitely a deeper level of technical expertise. So I think that's the way I would go about it.
Yeah. When I joined Microsoft, I had this game I played called Top 5 Microsofties, and I would ask each person I met who their top 5 Microsofties were.
Yes.
So as a way of, sort of fast tracking my networking and finding out who are the most inspiring people or the best mentors or the best people in their roles. And then I would seek out those 5 people that they named and get to know them as well. But also they would explain to me why those were their 5 favorite people. And when people explain what it is they value in other people, you get to know them a lot better as well. And I think it's kind of similar to a thing I've seen around how you become the sum of the 5 closest people you have around you. So you should always pick people that you think are better than you or further along the journey, because then they will help you to rise. Do you have any people that you want to name as being your inspiring mentors right now, or people that you look at and you just think, I want to be them in 5 years' time?
Absolutely. I know that my ex-buddy, Jonathan Kwan, I'm not sure if you've met him, but he's absolutely amazing. He was an Aspire, I want to say maybe 5-6 years back. So I think perfectly within that time range. And he used to be on the same team as me in the data and AI space in SMC. And, he was always just helping me throughout my whole entire career journey, whether it be, we would talk about things like investing, like where do you invest your money? He would give me advice on buying a house, give me relationship advice. He would just kind of be there for all aspects of my entire life. But I think in terms of career development, he really kind of took me under his wing and introduced me to people. And I think as an intern, that's what I really needed. I needed someone to basically show me around to, I guess, create my network. So he already had his own established network. He was quite a distinguished Microsoftie. He worked really hard, so a lot of people valued him as well. And I think by bringing me under his wing and kind of introducing me to his network as well, I think he, really was able to get me connected to people that I didn't think I would be connected to otherwise. And he kind of set those steps for me as well. So, when you're looking for resources, when you're learning, he would kind of just send you the link straight away. You didn't need to kind of look and dig through it yourself. When it came to having questions about customers, kind of going to him and he would kind of just shoot you the question straight over. So I think it was a big time saver in terms of learning. He would kind of just, give you the direct answer and then kind of take you along. And I didn't think I would still be connected to him when I was graduated, but lo and behold, we're still really great friends right now. I catch up with him maybe once a week in office. And we still kind of talk, and he still kind of carries me through that career development. And I think what's valuable about that as well, he kind of I think he's really good in kind of opening your perspective. So I think looking beyond your current role, seeing what your future might be. And I think that's something that you really need in your career. A mentor who's basically going to help you look at not just only now, but laying down the path from now to the future. So I guess what your aspirations are, and I guess step by step how we're going to get there. But I don't know if Ava has anything to add, because I feel like you probably would as well. I know you had a really good mentor.
Yeah, I would say during my internship, I had a really great manager, and I'm happy to, call her my mentor for that period of time. I think she just had a very, caring maternal side to her that meant, an early in career would really prosper, working with her. So, again, as Katrina said, they not only care about the work they also care about who you are as a person. So, whether that be checking in on your mental health, seeing how you're going with uni. When I had exams, she was like, take the day off, you concentrate, uni is, way more important than what you're doing right now. So, always be curious about the people around you, and sometimes people are having a bad day, and that's just what is going on in their personal life, so you should be caring and empathetic to what's going on. And I think she also cared about a lot about career progression, so having those deep chats about where do you see yourself in 5 years. Do you see yourself working at Microsoft? And what are your motivations? Like, let's dive deep into, are you motivated by your brand, by climbing up the ladder and becoming a manager, or are you motivated by money? What is it that wakes you up in the morning? Or things like what are areas of your development that I can help you on, and let's try to flesh out tasks that I can help you do that can really help you grow. So if you want to speak to customers, if you want to improve on your pitching, let's see how we can take you from the level you are now, and let's see where you are in at the end of the year, and see how you progress. So I think that close eye on where an intern is and how they progress is something that is really invaluable. And I'm at the moment I'm being mentored by Kaylee Hosking. She's a modern work manager, and she has a reputation for just being a gun at everything that she does. So she, worked through the ranks like really quickly. She's well renowned for being hardworking, very smart, and great at what she does. And I ask her things about, how can I, manage my time? How can I optimize my onboarding? How can I speak to my manager better, give feedback, things like that? And she's always ready to answer any questions I have. So I think those are two very strong female mentors that, show that tech is, it's possible to make it as women, and, they've made strides in where they are, and they're very inspirational. So I would say, my old manager, Mel, and my new mentor, Kaylee.
Fantastic. Now, does no one have any questions? Or does anyone have any questions I should ask? See, they are always very quiet and shy. There we go. That's
one question. I can take a go at this first. Where can you look for internships? I actually think, like I said before, I would say your network is very important when it comes to looking for internships. So I think where I always looked first was personal experience. So I always talked to a lot of people, talked to friends that I made in societies, talked to friends that I made in previous internships, things like that, to hear about their experience of internships, to see, what might fit what I'm interested in personally. No, we can't hear dog snoring, actually. We're all good.
Excellent noise cancellation from Teams.
I know, good stuff. And I think beyond that, I guess, in terms of actual practical sites, things like that, I think LinkedIn is a really good place to look for it, firstly. So if you just look at the jobs and you filter it by internships, I guess graduate roles, early in career roles, that's a really good place to start. I think there's a site called Grad Australia as well, and they list all the kind of different internships there as well. What else? I guess if you just straight up Google internships in Australia, a lot will come up. That's what I used to just do during the internship period. Like, I used to just literally mass Google every single day, like internships in Australia, and just be like, okay, this is like what I like, have a list, have a spreadsheet kind of listed out, like these are the dates that this application is open, this is the one that I'm interested, these are kind of the roles that I need. Okay, for Microsoft, I see. So Microsoft, they come out on the Microsoft Australia website. So usually, Ava, I'm not sure, and Michelle, if you know, timing wise, it was August, I think they came out, that applications.
Around the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing, but it is what it is.
Everything was later this year.
Yeah.
It was everything was late. And yeah, it was not they were promising us that we would see those things like 2 months before we saw them. So yeah, I think you can put a flag like on the Microsoft website I mean, you can for the jobs. I think you probably can for the internships and the grad hire roles as well, to say, you know, email me when something comes up on the website saying there's jobs.
Yeah, I think I think I found it through LinkedIn actually, my first time. It popped up for me. And then I think also just staying connected with Michelle, Ava, and I, because I'm sure we'll post about when when internships are actually released. And you're in your second last year of uni. Am I eligible for internships? I think you second last semester. Oh, I don't think you would be eligible. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ava, Michelle. I think you're eligible for grad.
Yeah, usually it's like a year before you grad, then you're eligible for an internship. But it seems like you're close to graduating already.
Yeah, because usually the internship goes for the whole year. So I think our recommendation would be apply for an Aspire role. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're graduating, that's the role you apply for the grad hire scheme, which we call Aspire, which is what these two are in. For internships, you need at least 1 year left in your university because you do it for the whole year. But you're applying, you need to be applying before you're starting. It's not like you can apply now and start tomorrow. Yeah, it could be a few months process. How many internships did you apply for?
How many internships did I apply? Where's that question?
No, I'm just asking. It's occurring to me because you said you had a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how many you applied for, because that's not luck either. That's hard work where you're, having a spreadsheet and applying for all these different opportunities and tracking which is what job and all of that.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was definitely more than 10, more than 15. Like I applied for a lot. And I kind of just shot my net very far. So yeah. I think what was good was that I applied for a lot of internships and I think, landed Microsoft, which I was really happy about. So that when I came to grad, I was more selective and I think the roles that I wanted to apply for. So I think I kind of laid down that foundation for myself to be more comfortable during the grad and more selective of what I wanted and knowing what career I wanted in the grad process. So yeah, I think internship really just kind of shoot your net far, see what you get. And I guess if it aligns to what you want to do, then that's really good.
Yeah, but the way you were tracking it as well, and that's also super important, because when I was a hiring manager, I remember people coming to interviews, sitting down and then asking me to remind them what job this was that they were interviewing for.
Oh no. Okay.
And nobody wants that. We want to feel like we're special to you. We want to feel like you've prepped for this interview.
That's not good. Definitely not good. Don't do that.
Yeah, but so I love the spreadsheet idea and keeping on track of what you've applied for, where you're going, what you need to prep, all of that.
Definitely. I think Lisa has a question for you, Ava.
Yep. So no, that's not rude at all. Ask any questions you like, but yeah, there actually is a a program where you can get, refurbished products. I think it's called Microsoft Certified Refurbished, and you can get, a range of used secondhand laptops that, are made sure they're working by Microsoft, and, they're free of dents and scratches, and you can get it at a discounted price. So, I'm sure you can just Google that, and you can find a bunch of different lists for, laptops, tablets, two-in-ones. So I think, and it's done to a quite high standard because they go through a rigor of processing and checking and making sure that it works. So it's done by expert staff. So yeah, there's definitely a way you can get that.
Awesome. Cool. Any final bits of advice before we let you go? Like one top tip for students. One each.
You can go first, Ava.
One top tip. I'd say you are going to get rejections when you apply and put yourself out there. That's just the way the world works. You're not going to get 100% of everything all the time. And kind of my advice would be to just take that on the chin and say, let's say you went for an interview, you got to the final round, and then you didn't get it. That's okay because, you went through that experience of interviewing and applying. And along that journey, you learned a plethora of things about the recruitment process. Hopefully you asked for feedback after that interview. And maybe you went into an assessment center and you did a group activity, and you can kind of self-reflect on how you did, things you did well, what things you could improve on. So I think, in a way, the more rejections you get and the more experience you go through, the better you become, and the more you get to practice with real life scenarios. So don't get disheartened if, things don't pan out your way. I've been rejected loads of times. I'm sure everyone here has. But at the end of the day, look where we are now. You don't know where you will be in a year or two. So, just take it on the chin and keep trying.
That's excellent advice. Katrina, what have you got?
My advice, I think, would be to kind of work hard in the early days. And what I mean by that is, I think it's your kind of internships and your grads, I think, is where it might not necessarily be where you end up in your future, but I think it's where you kind of lay down the foundations of your career. So I think, being aligned in, I guess, finding a job which aligns to your interests in the future, I think is a very good way to go about it. I think I can hear dog snoring now.
He's very loud. That's my mum's one. He's staying with me while she's in Singapore.
Gotcha. Very nice. But yeah, I think what I mean, also working hard is, building that network with all your friends, kind of looking at societies, looking at different roles, seeing what might be a good potential fit for your future career, casting your net wide in terms of internships, in terms of grad opportunities, like really kind of just see what you can get out there. And then I think pick the one that's best fit for you. And then I think also, when you do land that internship, when you do land that grad role, try to absorb everything that you can from that role. Like, it might not be the ideal role for you. You might not be enjoying it at the time, but there's always something you're going to be learning from that role. So I think just take as much as you can from that role, and really, get involved, look at the different networks you can make in that role, look at the different, skills, ideas, people that you can meet, because I think all of that is going to feed into what your future career is going to be. So never take an opportunity and just be like, this is useless. Always try to make the most of everything, because I think you're lucky to get any opportunity, and you just need to kind of take it and really work for it and work hard. So yeah.
Another great point. On that one, I would say definitely take the opportunity to blog about those things on social media. So, if you learned something, you've been somewhere, you've done something, you learned something new today, then write about it on LinkedIn or record a little video, put it on YouTube or, on TikTok if it really is a little video. But whatever you learn, if you try and share that experience with other people and teach and, pay it forward by teaching other people around you, it will help you cement what you have learned better in your mind, and it will also help your friends and your network as well. So yeah, 2 great pieces of advice. Thank you both for joining us today, and thank you all, students, friends, everyone that joined. We're always so glad to have you here. And yeah, we will. Well, yeah, I will have my my learning series going up soon if anyone wants to study with me for the developer exam. And yeah, the ones from Joseph and forgotten his name, Leandro, will also be coming up soon as well. And then we have the in-person events starting with the Sydney one. So yes, thanks all for joining. Have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll see you all next month, if not before.
Right.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks, Michelle.